So this is the 2013 sample paper, and what we're going to do for the first question is we're going to state the fundamental principle of counting, okay? So the fundamental principle of counting, I'll give you the definition now, and then we can explore what it means a bit afterwards, right? So if there are x ways of doing if there's x ways of doing an operation, or x outcomes of an operation. So an example would be tossing a coin. There's two outcomes, okay? So if there's x outcomes of doing an operation, and then y ways of doing a second operation, and then z ways of doing a third operation, then there are x multiplied by y multiplied by z ways of doing all three operations. Okay, now an example would be tossing a coin. So we had a coin as the first operation, we had a dice or die as the second operation, and picking a card out of a pack of cards as the third operation. Okay, so just a pack of cards. Okay, now what you can have here is the heads, right? So if all three operations were done in a row, you have two outcomes to the first one, the dice has 6 outcomes, and the pack of cards has 52 outcomes. And if you multiply them all by each other, what you'd get is 624 outcomes in total. And this is basically what the fundamental principle of counting does. It gives you how many outcomes events can appear. And so I could get, for example, I could get a heads, a 6, and maybe the two of spades. Okay. So this just shows you that there's 624 outcomes this way. Okay. How many different ways is there to arrange 5 distinct objects in a row? Now when you're dealing with 5 distinct objects in a row, what you can imagine is you have like a shelf, okay? And you have like 5, 2, 3, you have 5 slots to put these into, okay? So you have 5 objects. So you have a choice of 5 objects to put in the first one. You have a choice of 4 objects to put in the second one, 3 objects in the third one, 2 objects in the fourth one, 1 object in the last one. Now remember, this is a placeholder, so each time you choose an object will go in here. So if you were to have like 5 colors, what you can see is that each time you remove a color, there's going to be there's 4 colors left. Okay, so this is the way it works, and it's all the different combinations of these colors you could use. Okay, next question. Peter is arranging books on a shelf. He has 5 novels and 3 poetry books. He wants to keep the 5 novels together and the 3 poetry books together. In how many different ways can he arrange the books? Okay, so if you imagine once again. Okay, so what you're looking at is, imagine 2 sections, okay? And the first section is the section that contains the novels, and the second section contains the poetry book. So this is the novel section, and this is the poetry section. In the novel section, there's 5 slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the poetry, there's 3 slots, alright? Now, we have 5 books to choose from at the start. We choose one of the 5. Now there's 4 books remaining. Then we choose another book. Now there's 3 books remaining. Pick another book, there's 2 books remaining. Pick another book, there's 1 book remaining. Next thing in the poetry, you have 3 books at the start. So you have a choice of 3. We pick one, only 2's remaining. Pick another one, only 1's remaining. Now what we have here is 5 factorial. This is how many ways we can do the novels. And the poetry, we have 3 factorial. So when we multiply these together, and what 5 factorial means and 3 factorial means is you're just basically multiplying 5 by 4 by 3 by 2 by 1, okay? So this is 5 by 4 by 3 by 2 by 1 is 5 factorial, okay? And 5 factorial is 120. 3 factorial is 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1, and that gives you 6, and that gets you your 720. Now, the only other, remember that the 3 poetry books have to be all together, and so do the five novels. But what we could also do, and what we didn't really take into account here, is basically what we can do here. Now, if we were to move we can move the novels into the second position. We could have the novels second and the poetry books first. Okay, and if we were to do that, then there'd be a different way of doing this question, okay? So, what we could say here is that this section here, the poetry books would go first, and the novels would go second. So this way, it's actually double 720, okay? So it's double 720, and therefore the poetry books come first and the novel comes second. So this is the second way of looking at it, and basically you could always have the poetry books first, the novels second, or the novels first and poetry second. And this once again is another 720. So multiply 720 by 2 and you get 1440. Okay. Next one. Bias die is used. Bias die is used in a game. The probabilities of getting 6 different numbers of die are shown in the table below. So what we can see here is this is in decimals, right? So there's 25% of getting a 1, 25% of getting a 2, 15% of getting a 3, 15% of getting a 4, 10% of getting a 5, and 10% of getting a 6. Okay, so usually it'd be 1 in 6 chance of if the die is fair, but you can see in the starter question it says it's biased, okay? So just be sure to read the question before you make any assumptions on it, okay? Now, find the expected value of the random variable x, where x is the number thrown. What I basically want you to do is get the average, okay? Now, there's 2 ways of going about this. The first way, again, the expected value, is to basically multiply the number by the probability. So e of x is basically the method for doing this, okay? So the method for doing this is multiply the number by 0.25 plus 2 times 0.25 plus 3 times 0.15 plus 4 times 0.15 plus 5 times 0.1 plus 6 times 0.1. Okay, and what you just want to do is put that into the calculator and see what comes out. And what we get is 0.25 plus 0.5 plus 0.45 plus 0.6 plus 0.5 plus 0.6. Okay, gonna add them all up together. And what we're going to get is an average of 2.9, okay? So the expected value is 2.9. So this is how you basically get the average, okay? Now, Another way of looking at it would be to get the average value or the expected value is pretend that you had like 100 games, okay? So if you had 100 games, what would happen is 25 out of 100 times, because it's 25%, you'd get a 1. So it'd be 1 multiplied by 25. It'd be 2 multiplied by 25, because you get 25% out of 100, you get 2 games. 3 games would be, you get 3 multiplied by 15 plus 4 multiplied by 15 plus 5 multiplied by there'd be 10 and 6 multiplied by 10. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to get your total score. Now to get the average or the mean, what you do is you get your total score, which is in red here, and you divide it by the number of games, which is in blue. Okay, so it's going to be total divided by number of games. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get a 25 plus 50 plus 45 plus 60 plus 50 plus 60 all divided by 100. Okay, and when you add up the top, what you're going to get is 290, and 290 divided by 100 is 2.9. So look, there's 2 ways of getting the expected value or the average. Okay, there's a game at a fun fair. It costs €3 to play the game. The player rolls a die once and wins back the number of euros shown on the die. The sentence below describes the difference between the above biased die and using a fair unbiased die when playing this game. By doing the calculations required, complete the sentence. If you play the game many times with a fair die, you will win an average of something per game. But if you play the biased die, you will lose an average of something per game. Okay, so what we have to remember is if we have the fair die, what happens is we got to get the expected value of the fair die. So the expected value of the fair die is going to be 1 multiplied by a sixth plus 2 multiplied by a sixth. Because you have to remember about a fair die is that it's no longer the biased die's probability is gone. They're all actually a sixth because it's the equal chance of getting all of these results. So what we got to do is we got to multiply these and add them together. Okay, and when we do that, we can find out the average result of a fair dice. Okay, so 2 by 1/6 plus 3 by 1/6 plus 4 by 1/6 plus 5 by 1/6 and 6 by 1/6. Okay, and then once we put these into the calculator, just put it all in, and once you put it all in, what you should get is 4 plus 5 over 6 plus 1, and what you get is 3.5. Okay, so the average for the fair dice is €3.50. So what happens is if you pay €3 to play each game, you'll win an average of, if you do the fair dice, you will win an average of, so you have to pay €3.50 for you win €3.50 on average, but as it says in the question, you're going to pay €3 to play the game. So when you take the €3 away, it's going to be 50 cents per game. And as we know already, the average of the biased dice is €2.90. So what we're going to do is we're going to lose 10 cents per game. Okay. And now we're on to question 3. Okay, so A is 3 fifths. So go 3 on the X. Remember, X and Y, right? So 3 along the X, 5 up along the Y, that's going to get you A. Then B is minus 6, 2. That's minus 6 to the left, 2 in the air is B. C is 4 minus 4. That's 4 to the right and minus 4 down. Now, what we can see here is we have a triangle, okay, formed when you join all three points together, okay? Now, it says, I want you to find the equation of the line AB. To find the equation of the line AB, you got to look up the equation of a line. Y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. Now, remember, you got to find the slope, so you got to use the slope formula as well, because we need to know the slope, which we don't know yet, and we need to know x1, y1, which we do know. Okay, so let's call it a x1, y1. So a is 3, 5. Let's call that x1, y1. And b is minus 6, 2. And let's call that x2, y2. So to get the slope of AB, what's going to be is y2 minus y1. This is in your formulas in coordinate geometry. X2 minus x1. So what we'll get here is 2 minus 5 over minus 6 minus 3. And what we're going to get is minus 3 over minus 9. And that is going to be equal to a third. So the slope of AB equals a third. Okay, now that we have that done, what we're going to do next is we're going to find the equation of the line using this formula here. So it's going to be y minus y1 being 5 equals m, which is a third, into x minus x1, which is x minus 3. Now, what you need to do here is you'd like to multiply across by 3. Now, this side is being multiplied by a third, so this side's being divided by 3. So when you bring it over the other side, it's being multiplied by 3. Okay, and what you're going to get is 3y minus 15 equals x minus 3. Bring everything over to the other side, so we're going to get 0 equals x minus 3y plus 15 minus 3. So then we can get x minus 3y plus 12 equals 0. Okay, now for part 3 of this question, find the area of the triangle ABC. Now what you got to remember about these triangles is that you got to actually move one of them onto the Okay, so next question, we're finding the area of the triangle ABC, okay? So to find the area of the triangle using coordinate geometry, we're going to use as half the modulus of x1, y2 minus x2, y1. Okay, now what you're going to notice is there's only two set of points here, so it's x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, and what you have to do here is you have to say there's 3 points to choose from, so one of them has to go to 0, 0. Okay, so to get to go to 0, 0, what you do is you're going to bring a to 0, 0. So to bring a to 0, 0, what you're going to do is you're going to bring it down 5. So it's going to go down 5 and left 3. So down 5, left 3. And this is going to be the new a. Then down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Across 3. This one here is going to be the new b. And then for C, we're going to go down 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Across 3, so the new C is going to be here. Now what's going to happen is when you link this triangle up here, it's going to be the same size as the triangle that was just there. Okay? So you can see that you just more or less just moved it along, okay? Now the point B is down 5, so it goes to minus 3. So it goes to minus 3, then across another 3, so it's going to be minus 3, it's going to be minus 9, minus 3. So remember, write down all 3 points. Okay, so you can write down A, B and C, 3, 5, So this one here, okay, is going to be down 3 across 5. So as you said, when we moved A to A dash here, we went down 5 and across 3. So it's minus 5 to X and minus 3 to Y. So what we need to do with these points is we need to take away 3. So minus 3 is minus 9. Take away 5 to the Y, minus 5 to the Y. So when you take away 2 minus 5, it's going to be 3. So this is the new B dash. C dash, once again, you're going to take away 3 to the X. So this is going to be the point, C dash is going to be the point 1. And then minus 4 minus 5 is minus 9. So now we know what x1 and y1 is for our new formula, okay, and x2, y2. So all we have to do then is use our formula, okay, and what it says is it's a half x1, which is going to be minus 9, by y2, which is another minus 9, minus x2, which is 1, and y1 is 3. So what we're going to get is a half 81 minus 3, and a half of 78, and a half of 78. Oh, sorry, excuse me. It's minus 9 minus 3. So that's a minus 3 here, so it's going to be 81 plus 3, which is 84. So half of 84. So half of 84 equals 42. So the answer for the is going to be 42. Okay, so just remember for point C, or say for point B, it was minus B dash was minus 9 minus 3, and the double negative made it positive. It's minus 1 times minus 3. Okay. Now, the next one. A circle C has a centre P at minus 2 minus 1 and passes through the point 3, 1. Show C, P and Q on the coordinate diagram. Okay. So what you're going to do next is you're going to do an XY axis. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw minus 2 minus 1, which is going to be located here. And then you're going to draw 3, 1, which is going to be located here. Now this is basically your radius, okay? So this is a radius from here to here, okay? Once you know your radius, what you can then do next is you can get your compass out, okay? And what you can do is you can basically join the points together. Okay. And what you can do next is you can circle them around, like so. And there's your circle there, okay? So just label both axes. So you can say that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. Okay, so there's your diagram done there, okay? So just make sure you label them. This is C, this part here is P, and this one here is Q. Okay, find the radius C and hence write down its equation. Okay, so to find the radius you're going to use the distance formula. Okay, now to do the distance formula, what you're going to write down is D equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Okay, And our 2 points is -2, -1. And 3, 1. So these are your 2 points, okay, P and Q. And to find the radius, we're just going to get the distance between P and Q. And this here has to be equivalent to the radius, okay? So this is the radius. So get the distance from P to Q. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. So the distance we're going to get is 3 minus -2 squared plus Y2, which is 1 minus -1 squared. Enter that in your calculator, and what you should get is D equals the square root of, so this was going to end up to be 5 squared plus 2 squared. Okay, and what we're looking at is D, or the radius, is going to be root 29. So the radius is root 29. Write down the equation, find the radius of C, then write down this equation. So what you're looking for is the equation of a circle. So to figure out what the equation of a circle is, what you need to know is the center of the circle. Center of the circle is P. Okay, so you're going to go to your tables. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. R is the radius, and h and k is the center of the circle. H is the x coordinates, and k is the y coordinates. It'll tell you this in your log table. So you're going to get is x minus -2 squared plus y minus -1 squared plus y minus -1 squared, and that's going to equal root 29 squared. Okay, just sort out the brackets first. You're going to get x plus 2 squared plus, because 2 minuses make a plus, just put -2 into your calculator like so, and it'll give you the answer as +2. In the same way, put -1 into your calculator, it'll give you +1 as the answer. Okay, so all you need to know, it's going to be y plus 1 squared equals 29. Okay. Now, R is the point 16. By finding the slopes PQ and QR, show that QR is a tangent to C. So R is the point 16. So let's look at 16 up at the graph here, okay? So 16 is up here. Okay, so this is the point R. And what it wants us to do is find the slopes of PQ and QR. So PQ, QR is located here. So QR is this line here. You link Q to R, and we can see that PQ is the radius and it's perpendicular. So if it's a tangent, then PQ is perpendicular to QR, because you can see that they make a 90-degree angle. Okay, so we gotta find both slopes. Okay, so let R be 16. Q is going to be 3, 1. And P is -2, -1. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the slope formula twice and find out what is the slope formula, what is the slopes of both these equations, and we've got to prove they're perpendicular to each other. Now, the thing to remember about slopes is when they're perpendicular to each other, they're basically turned upside down and change the sign, okay? So if two slopes are perpendicular to each other, when you multiply the first slope by the second slope, you get -1 if they're perpendicular. If they're perpendicular to each other. Now this sign here means perpendicular, okay? So What this basically means is if I was to have a slope of 2/5, the perpendicular slope is turn it upside down and change the sign, so it should be -5/2. So we'll see what we have when we do this one here, okay? So the first one, slope of we'll do the slope of PQ first. So slope of the line PQ, and what we're going to get here is y minus -1 divided by 3 minus -2. And what we're going to get is 1 plus 1. If you put it in calculator, you're going to get 2/5. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the slope of PQ or QR, slope of QR, and the slope of QR is going to be 1 minus 6 divided by 3 minus 1, and this slope is -5/2. As predicted, you turn it upside down, change the sign. Now to get full marks, what I need to do is I need to put 2/5 multiplied by -5/2 equals -1, and then I multiply the two of these out here, and what I get is -1. So I get -1 equals -1, and this proves that they're perpendicular to each other. Okay. Now, the next one. On the diagram below, shows a shape with two straight edges, okay, and one irregular edge. By dividing the edge AB into 5 equal intervals, use the trapezoidal rule to estimate the shape of the area, or the area of the shape. Record your constructions and measurements on the diagram. Use your answer to correct it in the nearest centimeters squared. Okay. So what you gotta do here is you gotta take out basically your ruler and just get measuring. Okay. So your first point of order will be to measure the full length of the get out the ruler here. Okay. And what you're going to do with the ruler is you're just going to measure basically the full length. Okay. So as it turns out, it is actually 15 centimeters. Okay, so the full thing is 15 centimeters when you put it into your book. Okay, so you're just going to measure this out to be 15 centimeters. Okay, so that's 15 centimeters long. Okay, and what you got to do is you got to divide this 15 centimeters up into 5 intervals. Okay, so 15 centimeters long, and divide it up into 5 equal intervals. So you're going to divide that by 5, and what you're going to get is 3 centimeters per interval. Okay, so let's measure this out. 3 centimeters per interval. So the first one goes up here. Just draw straight up if you can using your ruler. 3 centimeters. Then go up a 6. Just make sure it's right on the line. You don't introduce any inaccuracies into the answer, right? Then you're going to go up a 9. So you go up a 9 as well. And just please make sure that's lined up properly. So this one here at 9. This one here at 12. Okay. Now, the next thing you gotta do is you gotta label these. So call it Y1, Y2, Y3, Y4, Y5, and Y6 is basically nothing. Y6 is tiny. Okay, so Y6 is 0. Now, what you need to do is you need to get the heights of each one. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we're just going to measure the heights of each one. So we're going to see what we get here. So the first one is roughly 4.5 tall. Alright, so this one Y1 is 4.5. y2 happens to be 5.8. So we can see the way it just comes up here as 5.8. y3, just make sure this line here is level, and we can see that y3 is 5. The next one after that, we can see that y4 is 3.4. Just keep counting: 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4. And then y5 is going to be y5 is going to be 3.8. Okay, so 3.8 for y5. And then y6 finally. We can actually see that y6, when you go up in a straight line, actually has no height because it's equal to 0 here. So you can see that it has no height. So y6 equals 0. Now, the trapezoidal rule is the next thing we got to look up. So what we're going to look up is the word trapezoidal. So the trapezoidal rule roughly equals, and see this sign roughly equals, this means that it's an estimate, alright? And h over 2, h is the gap between each line. And what h is for this question is 3 centimeters, okay? And what is y1 plus the last one. So it's first plus last. First plus last plus 2 times the remaining. Okay, so 2 times everything else. So 2 multiplied by the remaining. Okay, so we're just going to put in our numbers now. So 3 over 2 into 4.5 plus 0 plus 2 times. Now what we need to do is need to get each one. So the first one's 5.8 plus 5. So it's y2 is 5.8, y3 is 5. 5.8 plus 5 plus 3.4 plus 3.8. Then we close the brackets. Now all you gotta do is just put this into the calculator. You're gonna get 1.5 plus 4.5 plus 5 plus 3.4 plus 3.8. So it's going to be 2 times 18, which is 36. So it's going to be 1.5 times 40.5. And what we're going to get is 60.75 centimeters squared. Okay, so 75 centimeters squared, okay? And that is basically the end of question 5 and the end of this video.